Good morning, volleyball fans. We are here in Salt Lake City, Utah at the Utah Athletic Center for day 2 of the NVA Showcase 2020. My name is Nick England. I'm joined by Matt Prosser. And we've got a match to start us off here between Southern Exposure and Team Freedom. This is going to be match 1 today in the National League. Matt, how you feeling about this one?
Well, good morning, Nick. Happy to be here. Thanks for the intro. Very excited to start day 2 off with a good quality match here.
We got the national anthem going here. We're still going? Okay. So I think they're getting the national anthem up and running, but basically these, an interesting thing that we're going to be paying attention to here is these two teams are basically sister teams, actually. So we're going to be seeing the owners here both know each other. So we've got the team for Team Freedom, they're out of the Northeast, and Southern Exposure is going to be out of the Florida region. So there's a lot of players here that have played against each other and with each other for the last 8 years, and so we're going to see a lot of competition. So definitely interested to see how that unfolds here. They're going to know each other's tendencies all today.
Yeah, it's always nice to see two teams that are familiar with one another, whether it's they've played against each other lots of times or they've played with each other but on different teams or different areas and have history. They know each other well. Scouting reports are probably pretty sharp.
Yeah.
And they know what to expect, so you can kind of plan and hope for a good battle here first thing in the morning.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things that we're going to see in a little redemption story here, Southern Exposure had a tough day yesterday. Stunners really had a solid showing in a 3-0 loss for the Southern Exposure. So seeing those guys come back and kind of see how they're going to start off day 2, because they've got 2 matches today. So they're going to try to find 2 wins, definitely.
Nick, would you call today moving day like they do in the PGA?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like you said earlier, the big thing here is if we can see some middles get established early, that's going to really kind of dictate the speed of this match. And right now the serving is good, but it's a little hit and miss with it, whether it's in or out. So that's a good chisel by number 20 there, Joe Norman, able to use the outside hand of number 13, Landon Shorts, for Team Freedom.
Yeah, Joe Norman going high hands off the block. He's big, he's tall, he's going to have that option, and he should use it almost as much as he can.
Yep. Low and flat jump serve just keeps going and carries along. You know, something we were talking about a lot yesterday is teams that are not used to playing at altitude, and with this ball is a new ball that a lot of guys haven't played much with. Some of these jump servers are not used to it, and the ball just keeps on carrying. So if you're playing at sea level up here, there's a little bit of a difference that starts to be noticeable.
Yeah, especially in the jump serve game. You know, there are factors, indoor volleyball. You know, this amount of space you have behind the inline, the ball, the elevation, it all actually does make an effect on your serve, and you really have to make sure you get that good contact on it when you're jump serving like this.
Absolutely. So Joe Norman's going to go back serve here, and that's going to put Will Cornell in the front row. We didn't see a lot of dumping or anything. I don't know if we saw any dumps yesterday from Will Cornell, maybe one. So I don't think we're going to see too much of that, but be ready for it in case. Huge serve from Joe Norman, but Team Freedom unable to handle that, and that's a big ace to start off the day that's been kind of littered with missed serves here.
Yeah, that's a nice contact by him. Good serve. He's big. He's hitting the ball at a high point. Ball's almost coming on a straight line or almost down at the receivers.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to get their arms out early and absorb that. Try to get the ball back up to the net for their setter.
Opts for a roll shot. He didn't see his toss was not where he wanted it, and it was out in front of him, so he went for a little bit of a 60% contact, tried to roll shot and bottom of the net there.
Yeah, the toss is so key, such an important part of the jump serve technique skill.
Ronald Dunn gets a good toss there, though, received by Southern Exposure, and set goes to Joe Norman. Triple block with Joe Norman once again showing some effectiveness here, and definitely glad to see that for Southern Exposure based on how yesterday went. Seeing some success in getting Norman online early is going to be nice.
Yeah, like we said earlier, he's going to carry a heavy load. You can see it from the right side attacking, front row and back row, and also from the end line.
Yep. Good pass by Freedom. They're going to be in system here. Go for the middle. Dug by Norman. Bump set goes back to Norman. And a swing that, once again, that was a heck of a sharp angle. He was going 12-foot line out of the back row with that.
Yeah, pretty good run by Mr. Norman there. He got a nice dig. Really the only guy that could get set in that situation, and block maybe didn't form as well as they had hoped, and he took advantage of it.
Pretty good bump set over the shoulder of him, too, by Kevin Rockland there, number 11. Passed well by Freedom. Goes to the outside, and low seam Kevin Voss with a straight down block. That was
on his side.
Oh, was it?
It was on his side, yeah. So that's a point for Team Freedom.
Well, I saw that one completely wrong. Just as I talk about not a lot of dumps, there's Will Cornell coming with the one-handed, goes backside. And Team Freedom unable to pick that one up.
You know, that's probably straight out of their strategy session that they watched on video last night after their match. Picked out a couple of things that they could probably do better at, and I'm sure that was probably one of them.
Yep, Kevin Voss with a big jump serve comes back, but unable to find it over the net there. Still seeing a lot of serving errors from both teams right now.
We're still really early on in this match, and guys are going to have a long time to find their jump serve, and they're going to need to, but again, it's important for a good start.
Ooh, bit of a chaos pass, goes to the out of system outside, chopped by number 4. Norman takes it with his hands, and Cornell goes to the outside, sends it a bit long, but dug by Freedom. Nice set there by the middle and the back row for Freedom, and little miscommunication. Will Cornell steps in front of Norman there and takes that ball.
Yeah, you'd like to see your setter play that ball with 2 hands, or let the back row player take it so that the setter can set the second ball.
Yeah, absolutely.
One-handed, only necessary when it's absolutely your last opportunity. Got to play it with one hand.
Yep. It's a pretty good setback there by Matt Seifert. And in system here for Southern Exposure. Backside to Norman. Huge dig there, actually, by Seifert. Once again, had a pretty good back row run there.
Always like to see the middle blocker get a chance to dig a ball. I was a former middle blocker, so I got to play a little bit of defense, and it was always fun to scoop the opposite down the line. That one unfortunately didn't come back, but they gave each other a little look and a wry smile on that.
Good short serve by Will there. Ball is perfectly dug off the face of the libero.
I think that went off his headband. I'm not really sure where exactly it got him.
Let's say it was above his chest.
Let's say it was above the shoulders.
Okay.
And probably above the nose.
And dug perfectly to the hands of Will Cornell,
It was
who
a great
put him in system. Great high swing there from number 6. That's Sam Albus, really challenging the inside hand.
You know, the height of Team Freedom on the pin hitters is nothing overwhelming, let's say. Okay, they're middles, other than Matt Seifert. Just kind of average height there. Number 2, he's not the tallest middle blocker you'll see in the tournament, but it's not about height, it's about effectiveness.
And that's a huge swing once again. We're really seeing number 4, Caleb Denmark, unlock to, you know, that's his second big swing, and I'm realizing as an outside hitter, that's the rotation where he's swinging on the one right side ball.
Yeah, they definitely are going to use that. We've seen him get 2 attack opportunities on the right side, and he's been terminal on both.
And then he follows that up with a huge swing from the back row. Joe Norman unable to stay out of the net as he went up for a big touch there, trying to slow down Team Freedom with a little bit of a chaos play.
Some nice athletic moves from those guys in that play. Just got a little chaotic, and Joe tried to make a good block, but unfortunately his momentum carried him in the net.
Yeah, good float here, but Southern Exposure perfectly in system. That's a great pass and allows Cornell to go ahead and run the middle blocker there.
Great choice by the setter. It was a little bit of a push quick. It kind of created some space between the blockers on the other side and was able to take advantage of that seam.
Yeah, Payne really put that ball down. Attacking left back is always a good choice there too, with either setter or opposite back row. Good jump serve, pass well by Freedom, but that's a dump from number 1, Ronald Dunn, front row.
Look, as soon as one setter dumps the ball, the other setter is going to want to get involved too.
Absolutely.
And as the match goes on, it's a viable option. You got to be able to use it. And when a pass is nice and tight up to the net, it's the blocker's responsibility to know that the setter's front row. Absolutely.
Jump serve goes long there for number 2, Jake Modesto. Well, we're all tied up at 15-15, so we're definitely seeing Southern Exposure have a more effective day today. Definitely glad to see that. Stunners were playing a great match yesterday, so good to see these guys out here fighting. Unfortunately, Norman unable to find that one. Goes to the bottom of the tape.
Yeah, I'd like to see Joe maybe take a little bit off of his first serve and really reach and get a nice, good contact on the first one. Give his team a chance to score a point, and then if he does, go back again. Maybe hit it the next one a little bit harder.
Yeah, a little bit of a serving progression.
Yes, yeah.
That's a big thing yesterday that was going on. The Ramblers, when they were playing Team Freedom, that we were talking about in our huddle, was we were missing a ton of serves. So it was all about how do we do some progressive serving. Jump servers started at 65, 70% jump serve. Find your first one, trust our block and our defense. We need a chance to be able to extend a rally. Then the second one, let's start dialing it up, 85, 90%. And then, you know, we get to that. If you get to that third serve, green light, hit it as hard as you want.
Right.
But
yeah.
Get yourself to that point.
Totally
Don't
correct.
miss
yeah.
8 serves.
Absolutely. I mean, the point of serving is to score a point, right? And if you're just going to go back and hit it as hard as you can in the middle of the net, you're not helping your team, right? Give yourself a chance to score a point. Put the other team on the defense a little bit. Put them on their heels. Put a nice solid serve in. You score the point. You go back. You turn it up a little bit more.
Yeah.
You go back. You get another point. Turn it up a little bit more. And you just kind of, like you said, you progress until you get the full green light. You're in your rhythm, and you're taking full advantage of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, one of the things that is unique with men's volleyball, I've heard with a lot of college coaches, they say basically if you can get an ace for every serve and a half that you miss, that's worth it, because that's saying that, you know, the rest of your serves are tough enough that you're scoring that ace. And so, you know, I don't think we're quite at that ratio for a lot of these guys yet. So we need to see them find a little bit more. It's going to be a set from the libero. That's a huge swing, dug well by Voss out of the net, and Will Cornell pushes it deep, takes the setter out for freedom. High ball goes to the pin. Great touch by Voss to slow that down. Dug in the back row, and set goes high. Number 11 takes a swing in the corner, but no hands there to be found. Point Team Freedom.
Nice blocking by Team Freedom there. You saw our first 3-man block of the day. Really well formed. Got a good block on it. It just kind of ping-ponged off, I think, the hitter's foot or knee, and they were able to get it back over. But 3-man block, very important to have.
Yeah, another big serve by setter Dunn on Team Freedom. High ball goes out, and 11 chips off the block. Set outside for Freedom, but that was a very sharp angle, and too sharp, in fact. So that's going to be number 13, Landon Shorts, finding it in the middle of the net. Looks like we've got a substitution coming in for Southern Exposure, and that's going to be number 1, Tyler Hubbard, coming in. Tyler was one of the guys yesterday that ended up in the match halfway through and really turned it on. Had a great game. He came in off the bench and really found a way to impact the match. So excited to see what he can do as a serving sub here. Olivia, I think we got a little sideline insight. What do you got?
Yeah, they're bringing him in really to focus on that serve. They were looking to serve it to that right side. He nailed his spot, and they also said when it comes to hitting, you need to be aware where the height is on the court. Nick?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, you know, right as you talk about that, this is something I've been preaching all tournament long. I love hearing about the coaches talking about their plan, and then we see these guys executing. And, you know, as we're growing the NBA, there's been, you know, past iterations, and you don't see players that are always able to execute exactly on what their coaches want to, and they're kind of just doing their best to play whatever they know. And we just see Tyler coming in, and unfortunately we had a replay there as the ball hit the roof the point before, but Tyler came in, hit a great serve, and then had a huge big attack. So that's a great sub for those guys.
Yeah, it's one of the great aspects of indoor volleyball. It's a team sport. If someone's not kind of carrying their weight, bring someone else in, try to change it up, get a different look, and see what you can get they can produce.
Yeah, Will Cornell looks for an off the set 8-foot line push to middle Kevin Voss there, but unfortunately Kevin was unable to connect, and Southern Exposure looks a little bit out of sorts, a little rattled, and they're going down 4 points as this is coming into the final turn here.
Yeah, we like to call this the business end of the set.
Yeah.
Nick, wants the first team to hit 20, 5 more points until they can lock in this first set win and move on throughout the match. But yeah, you got a nice matchup there between the two middle blockers. We saw Team Freedom and their block kind of take advantage of that one. Both teams have established their quick hitters and their right side attackers very well so far in this first set.
Yeah, something that they were running into with some issues yesterday was Kevin's a really big physical guy, and Will wasn't able to utilize his height quite well enough. You know, Kevin gets up, and he's also, I think he's about 6'8", 6'9", and you know, you really need to make sure that you're getting that height right on that set. And they were struggling yesterday, and that was the same thing there. It was kind of a trap set, floating away from, just not quite connecting. Big jump serve, handled well there by Southern Exposure. Goes to the backside. Norman swings out. And you know, we were talking about how well Norman started the match. Goes two, 3 big kills, but he's kind of fizzled out, and we haven't seen much from him here.
Yeah, a little inconsistent. You know, that one was just a poor contact with his hand on the ball, and he sent it out wide across court. But again, it's a marathon, not a sprint. 3 out of 5 match.
This is very true. Hubbard shanks the ball wide there and forced to free ball it over. Freedom is in system, looks for a big swing, and that's going to be a net, but no call there. Ball goes out to Cornell. There's a tip jam down the line by number 4, Caleb Denmark. At least I thought I saw a net pretty good there.
I did see a little movement through the net system, but not sure where the contact was. Maybe the outside hitter ran into the pole after he hit. It's kind of hard to tell. Action's pretty fast, you know, so.
Yep. Kevin Voss on the back line with a big serve, but once again, unable to find it. And we're talking that serving progression again. That's 2 missed serves for Kevin Voss, and you know, I think Joe Norman's had 2 missed as well in the latter half of this, and we need to see those 2 guys as serving line weapons for Southern Exposure start to dial those serves in.
Yeah, they do need to find their serving rhythm. if they want to have a chance to win this match.
Good float serve, handle ball by Southern Exposure, goes to the outside, and Kevin Denmark once again goes one-on-one, takes it. Sorry, Caleb Denmark.
Yeah, so far Caleb Denmark's definitely been the most consistent player for Southern Exposure. Pin hitter, outside hitter, he's got a good arm, he's athletic, he's a good jumper. He's hitting the ball nice and high, taking advantage of the poorly formed block. Yeah,
absolutely. Short serve there. Will Cornell looking to try and jam that offense, but Team Freedom more than happy to run their offense from 1/3 of the court and use the block, and unable to be dug there.
Nick, we've been talking about serves, the importance of getting it in. That one was just a little bit too easy. It's too soft, right?
Yep.
Team Freedom took advantage of it. Perfect pass up in the net, ran a 31 quick attack, and took advantage of that.
Jump serve and good pass by Southern Exposure, goes to the front side, and once again that middle connection just not there.
Yeah, hard to say, you know, what the issue is. That was a nice pass, it's a good choice. Whether it's just not enough time on the court together, not enough reps. Early in the morning, I mean, it's 8:20 here in Utah, so still trying to wake up a little bit.
Big serve there. Little miscommunication, but Hubbard is determined to take a swing and try to find a way to score there, but just doesn't work out for Southern Exposure. And you know, it's pretty crazy to think that with the final score of 25-18, halfway through that game, we were tied at 15. That's a 10-3 serving or 10-3 score run in the latter half of that game.
Yeah, I think Southern Exposure can attribute that to just too many missed serves, a couple poor attacking contacts, and they need to regroup and refocus what they need to do to take advantage of the second set.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know, that match started off quite well. I was happy to see how Southern Exposure was playing, but I've got to be honest, that was not the second half I wanted to see for them. But Freedom is a very, very disciplined team. We saw them miss a couple serves to start, and then they came out and they were hitting all their jump serves right where they wanted to, and it was rattling the back row for Southern Exposure quite a bit there. So they were, you know, forcing guys to go to the pins. So when they were trying to run a middle, they knew it was coming.
Yeah, and like you said, being tied at 15-15 and then losing that set 25-18, that is a big run, and you saw some misconnections in the middle from both hitters on Southern Exposure and a few too many missed serves. I think they really need to focus on their first contact. Their passing starting to spray a little bit. They need to get that ball up to the net, and maybe just, you know, communicate a little bit more. And they did unfortunately get a bad call there on the referee calling the ball dead that went off the ceiling off a good serve, and then missing their next serve on the replay. It's a little bit of an unfortunate situation there. But hey, you know, we're all human, and that happens. It's about how you respond and not how you dwell on it and you move forward. So
there was 42 other points, so you gotta find a way to turn some of those your way.
Right.
Now, for anyone that hasn't seen or hasn't heard, we are not switching sides during this event in order to help protect the athletes and make sure that we are managing everything related to COVID. Everything's being sanitized, and players will maintain their same side. So at no point during the match will they be switching sides. That's why there was also no formal handshake before the match. Everyone just kind of acknowledged each other and waves through the net. And then from there, you know, basically just stay on your side.
Thanks for that clarification. I was starting to wonder why no one was going under the net to change sides of the court. I did notice that yesterday when I watched a little bit as well. But yes, safety is of utmost importance here. We want to make sure all the protocols are followed. Yeah,
you know, Utah Athletic Center has been absolutely amazing, making sure that everyone is taken care of, everything is safe, masks are being worn, balls are being cleaned, things like that. And we really thank them so much for their support for this event. It's been an absolute pleasure to be in this facility. It's gorgeous, and it's so nice having space to play and see all these guys have enough room to serve, relatively high ceiling. You know, that was an unfortunate one there, but not seeing, you know, where the Ramblers and the Stunners and the Blaze, we all train, we've got a pretty low ceiling. So we all play a lot of balls ricocheting around there. So
unfortunately, it is part of the game that needs to be adapted to, depending on the facility.
Yep, absolutely.
Sometimes you call it a home court advantage. You know, but this is a neutral court for all these teams, so both teams get the advantage.
Well, you know who's actually got the advantage here is the Utah Stingers. I think this is their home court, so they're all the ones that didn't have to travel too far, and they're playing in their home gym.
Yeah, and probably getting to sleep in their own beds at home.
All right, so it looks like for Southern Exposure, I think we're seeing one change here, number 14 coming in. That's going to be Jacob Ciesla. So we saw him playing, I think, a bit yesterday, and he came in as a sub later on in the game, or in the match yesterday. So looks like they're using him the same way today. And
yeah, going to be an outside hitter.
Yep. So it looks like he's going to be replacing number 11, Kevin Rockland. Team Freedom, I think, is keeping everything the exact same. That's a big serve, handled well, and Southern Exposure goes outside once again. That's a great swing.
Yeah, nice first play for Southern Exposure to set the tone. That was a great serve right out of the gate for Team Freedom. Nicely passed, and again, number 4, outside hitter for Southern Exposure gets the swing and first point.
All right, we got Olivia with a little bit update from the sidelines.
Thanks, Nick. They made the roster change on Southern Exposure, and they also flipped the middles for more activation. Other than that, Coach said, let's just find our groove. We've been talking about it. They're really just making the mistakes on their own side of the court. On the Freedom side, they said they're prepared for Southern Exposure to make fewer mistakes. They know they're going to be tight on their blocking strategy and the defensive strategy behind that, so they're ready for them to come out swinging.
Great insight. Thanks so much, Olivia. I did not notice that the middles had flopped, and that'll be interesting to see if that just creates a little bit of a different look for them. And Will Cornell, going back to that short serve, had a little bit more success there. Southern Exposure unable to return the outside swing, but you know, on that serve, that's a really good strategy because they took the front row outside out of the offense because he made him move so far forward. So as a setter on Team Freedom, you basically only have the middle and the back, your back set as an option. You can always go back row as well, but he was able to effectively remove the outside hitter there.
Yeah, such a big part of volleyball is the matchups between the hitters and the blockers on the teams and the rotations that you start in. So you get the matchups that you think you can take advantage of.
Yep, and this is one of the, wow.
Let him play, ref, let him play.
Will Cornell with the one-handed, and Kevin Voss unable to find the contact, but number 4, Caleb Denmark, once again, you know, still showcasing that he honestly plays the right side quite well, had a good block touch there, and unfortunately wasn't quite able to do anything with that set and kind of tipped it over there, but disciplined hands on that block.
Well, a little bit of frustration setting in for Southern Exposure here with the referees, and maybe a couple of questionable choices on their side that are uncontrollable, but just going to have to work through it and adapt.
Certainly not going Southern Exposure's way, unfortunately. So that's a big serve for Seifert there. That was the first time we've seen him jump serve, if I'm not mistaken. He's been hitting a float.
Yeah, you can see that Team Freedom is definitely winning the serving game from the inline. They're much more consistent. They're putting pressure on Southern Exposure, which is resulting in some not so good passes.
Yeah.
Taking their middle attackers out of the play.
It was a great deep swing there from the outside on Southern Exposure, though. We're really seeing the outside hitters on Southern Exposure trying to kind of carry this team through. And honestly, that was the exact same story yesterday.
Yeah.
Different outside hitters at that time. Tyler Hubbard was contributing quite a bit yesterday alongside of Caleb Denmark, but you know, it's the same story, so hopefully the other guys can start to see some involvement.
Yeah, Caleb Denmark definitely making an early run for MVP of this game. Doing a heavy workload for Southern Exposure.
Definitely. Here's the big swing from him. There it is, once again. You gotta love when those guys hear us talking and want to make us sound good.
Well, he is, excuse me, Kevin Denmark's kind of the one bright spot right now for Southern Exposure. Not a whole lot going on their side of the net other than what his production has been thus far. So,
if you're Team Freedom, you probably see that, and it's time to key in on him. That's a huge serve. High ball goes out, and that's a double block coming in. Nice dig from the libero, and once again, we're seeing Denmark swing. Chopped into the corner and dug by Freedom. Tip, another easy dig there for the libero. Joe Norman not able to get the ball over the net. You know, as much as the offense is struggling, I do think that the libero over here on Southern Exposure, John Kaluger, is having a pretty solid match, getting some digs and keeping them in it.
Yeah, I think that's just a little bit of a timing issue between the setter and the hitter. I think Joe might want that set a little bit higher, and the setter wanted to run that set a little bit faster.
Yep. A little chop down the line there, picked up by Freedom, but that turns into an overpass and a little miscommunication how to handle it, but getting some chaos here. Will Cornell goes to the middle, Kevin Voss tips it over the top. Not a pretty point, but right now you'll take it.
Yeah, some good finesse there out of the middle by Kevin Voss. He can jump pretty well, hit that ball at a nice high point, but soft hands and tipped it right over the block for the point.
Let's see if he's been able to make some adjustments on his approach and mindset with his serve here.
Nope. Nope. Look, that was a nice high toss. He's letting the ball drop a little bit when he's making contact with it, and he has to get that serve in if he wants to get some points and produce something for Southern Exposure.
Yep, absolutely. And but now we're going to see another big jump serve coming out of number 9 on the side of Team Freedom, Chris Vaughn. Handled well by Exposure, goes back to Joe Norman. Norman swings high. Team Freedom with a bit of a double there, looked like, but let the boys play, as you said.
Yeah. Southern Exposure's looking for a referee to kind of give them some free points. They're not the referees, they're the players. So get your hands up and block the ball and don't tell the referee what to call or not call.
Yep. Understandably aggravating as a player, but you got to be better than that. You got to be disciplined. You got to play the ball as it's called.
Yep.
Well passed for Exposure. Goes to the backside. Norman swings. Big block touch that is kept alive by an amazing play in the libero there. And John Kaluger tipped deep. Reset by Freedom and a bit of a forced middle ball there. Will Cornell tries his stab, and there's a middle kill for number 16, Payne Langston.
Nice connection in the middle in transition there.
Yeah.
It's good to see that. Southern Exposure is going to need more of that, especially with number 16, if they want to score more points and keep this match close.
Yeah, it was kind of a funny reply like you were talking about earlier with that dump. You know, we see Ronald Dunn, the setter, trying to connect with Jake Modesto over there on Team Freedom in their transition middle, but it didn't quite work out, and it came back at them in the form of a successful transition middle attack. Norman, there it is. Finds a big sideline going to zone 1, gets the sideline tag there, and there's an ace.
Nice cross court, corner to corner serve there, right side to right side. Don't think the passers were quite ready for that angle. Let's see if he can reproduce another one.
That's a big serve. Kept alive, but free ball come. Oh, good swing. Little down ball. Will Cornell goes to the outside. Number 14 with a big swing down the line. Dug well and chopped into the net, unfortunately. Love when I can see an oppo back there in the form of Sam Aldis getting a dig, but ideally doing something a little bit more with that third ball.
Yeah, nice timeout by Team Freedom here. Maybe try to put Joe Norman on a little bit of the ice with his serving run. He's had 2 very good serves, an ace and a broken play. So Southern Exposure getting a little momentum. They're up by 3 points, and Team Freedom's coaching staff thinks they need to talk about it.
Yep, and something I want to talk about with that Joe Norman serve. So obviously he crushed that second one that was just hard to handle, but in terms of the strategy, like you're saying, going right to right now you've got the middle for Team Freedom coming from the right side. So if you're able to serve into that corner behind him, it gives the setter really bad vision, and it's really difficult to run your middle because he gets kind of pinched as the ball's coming at him. So that's a really great strategy to help eliminate a lot of setting options, and it's going to force Freedom to probably have to set outside here. So yeah, definitely a good look for Norman.
Great call by you, Nick. It's absolutely correct there. Having that middle blocker for Team Freedom coming from the right side of the court makes it hard for him to get all the way into the center and still be a viable set option for Team Freedom.
You'll hear a lot of times coaches or players just calling that pinching, and so they're trying to get guys out of the way there. And we'll see what Norman's able to do. Once again, really hopeful that typically when you get that timeout called, you want to dial it back 15, 20%, find that first contact, act like it's your first serve, and then kind of go from there. So we'll see how Norman handles potentially being iced out of that timeout by Team Freedom. He says timeout, no problem. That's an acer coming out into the libero.
And gives a little flex down.
Definitely good to see Norman getting involved in the back line here. That's 3 points in this service run so far. So Freedom's got to find an answer pretty quick, or Joe Norman might start to run away early with this game. Once again goes into that sideline, just barely misses that wide there, but
Look, nice service run by Joe Norman there. That was 4 serves, you know, an ace, 2 aces, and 1 bad pass. So, you know, like to see more out of that. You know, they're going to need more out of that throughout the match.
Modesto with a good deep jump serve handled by Southern Exposure, but coming over in the form of a free ball pass. Put into the setter, though, and that's going to be D-ball out as a result. Dug by number 4. Joe Norman tries to do a little too much. Gets called for the double.
Yeah, a couple of choice words for the referee there. He thought that that was a decent set, I guess, but the referee didn't.
And I would not have said that was a decent set myself.
I agree with you.
Jump serve from Modesto, handled well. Goes to the bick. Absolutely slammed by number 4, Caleb Denmark, but dug well from Team Freedom. And Team Freedom says, check our back row attack out with a big swing out of the right side from number 6 there. That's Sam Albus taking his licks.
Yeah, great dig in transition. That was a nice, well-formed play by Southern Exposure with the Bick option in the side out. But nice transition by Team Freedom.
Modesto long serve, but hey, once again, I mean, I think that was his 3rd serve, so he got a couple on the back line there. Love to see that for a middle.
Yeah, it was a good run by him. You know, not to nitpick, but he had a nice play there. He created a little momentum, and then he just gave the ball right back.
That's very, very true. Serve from 14. Well handled by Freedom. Goes to the high outside. And dug by Joe Norman there. Will Cornell a little unsure about how he wanted to block that, so he went for a contest, basically 50-50 ball. Didn't see anyone there, pulled his hands, and then got used.
Yeah, maybe blocking with a little more conviction there from Mr. Cornell, and that would have turned out maybe a little bit differently.
This is going to be setter Ronald Dunn for Team Freedom going back, and misses that ball by about 8 inches out the back line, maybe less. That's going to bring Kevin Voss back in for Southern Exposure, see if maybe he's able to create a little spark for these guys. But right now, the 2-point lead, it's a decent place to be in, but they definitely got to hold that and extend that lead with a couple real points here if they can. Just long.
You know, there's a fine line between everyone jump serving or hitting a reliable quality serve in the court for you and your team to give a chance to score a point.
Yeah, and
right now, so I believe Southern Exposure has got 6 jump servers on the court. Maybe would like to see someone just dial it down a little bit, throw in maybe a jump float serve, a little hybrid.
Yep.
Put Team Freedom on their heels a little bit, getting a different look.
Yeah, Will Cornell, I think, is the only one hitting that float because he's been going short over here.
Yes.
And we just saw a substitution. That was Chris Vaughn coming out, being replaced by Jeff Vautrin. Jeff Vautrin, yeah. So that's number 14 on the court. That's going to be an ace in the form of Team Freedom. Number 13, Landon Shorts, absolutely crushed that ball. This one handled well, though. And, Will Cornell's going to go to the backside. Norman finding the low inside hand.
I'd like to see that connection between the setter and Joe Norman just get a little bit stronger. I don't know how many games they've had a chance to play with one another on the same side of the net, but it just looks like the connection's not quite there yet.
Yep. And then there's another serve off the back line. We're seeing number 13, Landon Shorts, absolutely answer back right now. And, you know, this is kind of the same thing we saw game 1, where you see a close match and then it slowly starts to pull away from Southern Exposure. They open looking pretty solid, and then the serving just doesn't get them where they need it to be.
Yeah, I agree.
They catch a little break there from Landon Shorts, but I mean, the damage was already done. He went back there and ripped 2 aces, extended the lead a little bit for Team Freedom.
Volleyball's a sport that has got huge swings of momentum on both sides, and right now Team Freedom just took advantage of that. They have the momentum. Setters jump float serving short over to Shorts.
Once again, when we talk about that, trying to pinch out hitters, You know, Will was looking for a different look instead of going after the outside that time and tried to isolate Seifert, the middle blocker, for freedom out there, and unable to do so. That was a well-played ball by...
Yeah, they made a good adjustment, ran the back quick, and he was able to get the kill and the point.
Yep. We'll see if Seifert decides to go with the jump serve. Yep, he is. But finds that one long.
I just don't understand why you would change serves. You know, you've got the lead, be aggressive, or, you know, find your comfort spot that you know is going to put the other team on their heels.
And Caleb Denmark absolutely fighting for exposure here, but that's a good touch by middle blocker Kevin Vaz, and another well-formed block. This time goes outside, and Norman gets no touch there. That's going to go wide for freedom.
Outside hitter's going to want that ball back. That was a nice form set in transition, swing for a point, kind of roll shotted it, or didn't take his took his eye off the ball and just kind of mishit it.
Well passed by Freedom. Good, nice cut back there from Jake Modesto. Goes over the shoulder, puts it in his pocket, and goes back to zone 1.
Yeah, we're seeing some good passing from Team Freedom. Running their quick option a lot, first and foremost, and that one deep in the court worked out for a point.
Yeah, it was a conversation we were having a lot yesterday when we were playing them with the Ramblers. You know, our coach Vinny was sitting there, and Vinny was saying Freedom is not going to give you a single point. If you're waiting for their passing to break down or the serving to stop, you're going to be waiting a long time. You have to go out and beat this team. You've got to take points away from them. They are disciplined, and they're going to keep themselves in the system, and we're seeing that this whole match this morning.
Do you think Southern Exposure may have underestimated Team Freedom a little bit just because of their stature or average height on the court?
You know, it's possible, but I would say right now what we're seeing more is kind of a failure to execute, not a respect of players. You know, I think people at home might be tired of hearing about us harping on serves, but until I see it get fixed, this is a blatant way that you're going to not be able to hang in this tournament if you cannot find a way to put a ball in from the back line. Passed well, goes to the backside. That's the set that Joe Norman wants. You want to see a high ball set that puts it on his right side. When he's been coming in for faster, lower sets that he's got to take an inside approach, he's not been successful at all. But when you get him outside on that right hand, we're seeing great, high, deep swings.
Yeah, I think that was probably his best right side attack so far, and we're halfway through the second set. I'd like to see that be established early on in the match, but as long as they can find it and ride it and use it the rest of the way, it's going to be very important for them.
Absolutely. Norman, once again, though, going to the back line and finding ways to be helpful. Huge swing, amazing dig there by John Kaluger. High ball set by Denmark, goes tight, though. And number 14, Jacob Ciesla, unable to do anything with that. It's a tough set to handle with I couldn't see if that was a double or a triple block over there, but
I just want to be aggressive. I want to take a swing at that set.
Yeah.
I want to get high hands and not open hand tip it into the block or any of that. Just be aggressive and go up and get it. Get your feet to the ball and take an aggressive cut and test your chances and what you can get.
That's an out of rotation call, and I think that speaks volumes to where we're at mentally in this game right now. With
I agree. He's calling Joe Norman out of rotation as the back row opposite hitter, not lining up completely opposite of the setter. And that is just a poor mental play and a point for Team Freedom. Gives them the lead late second half of this second game.
But it turns out to the conversation, figuring out what happened there, ices the server a little bit in the form of Modesto and puts that one into the bottom of the net. So
let Southern Exposure off the hook there.
Yeah. We've seen that a little bit in the last couple points where Team Freedom positions themselves nicely in a position to kind of start pushing real points and punish Southern Exposure a little bit, and some missed serves or let them off the hook, like you said. Good chip, and that's in. Good middle run in the transition there, and now we see the tip from the back row. Set goes outside for Freedom, and that's a huge block by Will Cornell.
Will needed that block. He's gotten a little frustrated about maybe some of the circumstances, maybe the misconnections. I believe that's his first block of the match.
Yep.
And look for him to be more involved now that he has gotten a point with his block and defense, a little more active on offense here.
Yeah, he did a really good job pressing his outside hand back into the court there. Back set there, and we've seen a lot of production from the D-ball for Freedom. Will Cornell, just like he said.
As a blocker, you always have to know when the setter's front row, especially in transition. He makes a great play on that block, and he wants to be more involved, so he gets the chance to score a point with his offense. You got to be ready for that.
Yeah, especially with a tight pass like that. You know, if you've got a front row setter, it might be a tough set, or it might be a perfect ball for him to put a point in his stat block. Inside lob set there, picked up back row by Southern Exposure. Caleb Denmark swings, and there's a return block for the setter on Team Freedom. Ronald Dunn gets his.
You know, we hadn't called Denmark's number in a little while. I think that's his first set in a couple of plays, but I think he wants that one back. He kind of let the arm drop, and Team Freedom was able to block that ball back.
Good serve, handle ball by Exposure. A little pineapple dump into the corner, picked up by Freedom. High ball to the right side, great swing. But Southern Exposure's back in, and Seaford able to shut that down. And number 16, Payne Langston there, unable to get something going for him.
Nice block by Seifert there, getting ready. He was in ready position to block, saw it come, was disciplined, kept his hands up, and was able to block that quick attack back.
Yeah. So that's going to be, once again, kind of that failure to connect that we've been seeing quite a bit this game so far. And, you know, one of the things I thought was kind of funny earlier when we pointed out that there was a little dump exchange from the setters. We saw one dump when he said, you know, be ready for the second one. Setters got to get theirs, and we see the second one. Now we see the block for Will Cornell, and right after that we see Ronald Dunn get his.
Yep, it's a game of momentum back and forth, you know, a couple of haymakers being thrown. We're getting to the second half, business into this second set. Team Freedom really would take a great advantage in taking a 2-0 game lead into the third set, and if Southern Exposure wants to make a run at winning this match, they clearly need to win this game and be locked at one set apiece going forward.
Yeah, definitely. You know, Will Cornell's going to be looking for that. And this is the thing right now, that Southern Exposure is a small connection with their hitters away from really being effective. They're just losing a lot of points and kind of that missing link right there. And if they start finding that, this team's going to be firing on a lot more cylinders. So
yeah, I totally agree with you, Nick.
We're going to see Dunn coming out of this timeout with the jump serve. Great serve, handled perfectly though, and backside to Norman. Once again, Norman gets his set. It's a high ball out to the pin and lets him absolutely get his swing. We're seeing some of that brotherly love that we talked about earlier where these guys know each other. Norman letting number 13, Landon Shorts, know that he got him that time.
I think you've got about 6'9" Oppo going against maybe a 6'3" pin hitter. Norman's probably got about 50 pounds on him. Much better head of hair and a much better goatee. So I'll take Joe Norman in that one all day.
Norman with the dig, and that's going to be Cornell going with a low big set. Not quite what you want to see in inside set here. A tip battle needs to get cleaned up. Cornell's going to try again to Denmark. Denmark gets blocked once again, but covered nicely. Backside to Norman, inside set, but he finds it away. And that's the thing, right? You know, we talk about the perfect set as a high ball out to the pin, but there he was able to give Norman a little bit more time. But I think we got a little sideline insight. Olivia, what do you got for us?
Thanks, Nick. Yeah, you touched on it before. You said Southern Exposure was just a connection away from being right there, and Coach Corey Marks was really stressing that in that last huddle. He said, we're playing safe, and like you just mentioned, we're playing the high ball, but let's try to reverse things. We really need everyone to be ready on offense.
Absolutely, and you know, we're talking about a connection, and
four contacts on Southern Exposure there. I think that they think Kevin Voss might have touched it, just sort of tipped it, but didn't get the ball over the net, and then the fourth contact would have been the ball over.
Yeah. I couldn't tell what I saw. Honestly, I was staring right at it, and I don't know if I saw Voss touch that or not.
Hard to tell, but nonetheless, Team Freedom's going to keep that point, and we're going to have Shorts back at the end line here.
Once again, you know, we were kind of catching up on the status of the game, but Hubbard came in as a serving sub there, and once again we saw some big digs and a great serve. Hubbard's really showing that he can come off the bench and be effective for Southern Exposure. We're all tied at 22, so we'll see if you know, how maybe Coach Corey over here on the side of Southern Exposure tries to use some subs or anything to try and slow the game down and give his guys a chance.
Yeah, those role players are important. And right now, Denmark's really having a hard time getting the ball past the block.
That's
so.
4 swings, 4 blocks, I believe, if I'm not counting wrong.
He had a great start, and he has fizzled here in this second set. So he needs to find some energy or some coffee, and we're going to get another second timeout from Southern Exposure to talk about it.
But like we said, you know, ultimately, as an outside hitter, yeah, your job is to be a trash collector. But at the same time, when there is no middle connection, Seifert, middle blocker, and Team Freedom, he's got no one to stay home and respect. Because they're trying to find a connection. They're looking for those push ones and those gap runs over to open up that window. Just maybe sometimes those are easier to connect with, but they're not finding it. And so right now he's able to camp the outside and
yes.
double block on every set.
Seifert smells blood in the water. And as a former middle blocker, knowing that the other team doesn't have a good connection with their middles, it's almost that like you don't have to respect that aspect of their offense, and you can go pick on their outside hitters and make sure you just get over the net, big, strong hands, and block anything that comes at you.
Absolutely, and you know, right now, if I'm Team Freedom, I'm identifying that this set, 80% of the time is going Joe Norman right now.
Yeah, and if it's a tight pass, you got to be ready to block the setter's dump.
Yep.
You know, late in the game, quick timeout, quick point scoring opportunity.
Unlikely that Will Cornell, though, is going back outside, so he's got to find another option. They're not connecting in the middle, and he's going to want to go backside. Like you said, a dump is another option. He might want to take it into his own hands here. There's a good pass, and goes backside to Joe Norman. Joe Norman swings deep, doesn't find it.
Misses the hands, hits it out long. Nice high contact, good swing, good set. I think there was only one blocker up, but
just
give credit to Shorts for putting some pressure on the passers.
Yep. And like you said, though, that's an unfortunate one. You're up 24-22. Let your guys play that point. Even if you have to underhand that ball into the court, let your guys play that point out.
Yeah.
Now,
he wanted, okay, so here we go. We're going to get a short jump float serve.
Yep.
Probably over to area 2, and that's game.
You know, as a player, you hate to see it unfold that way, because we just sat here and talked about how serving is plaguing Southern Exposure, and to lose that set on a float serve, it's unacceptable.
The rules
honestly.
of serving, Nick. You learn it when you're 14 or 12 or however young you are when you first start playing this sport. There's 3 times you don't miss a serve. After a timeout.
Yep.
Right? After you score a point.
Yep.
And you never, ever, ever, ever miss your serve on game point.
Doesn't matter if you're on the on the winning or the losing side of that. You put that ball in and make the other team earn it.
Yeah. Stand at the end line, underhand serve it if you have to. Make the team earn the game point.
Yep.
Don't just hand it to them on a silver platter.
You know, a big thing that we're seeing here, though, also is really going to be, you know, I said it earlier, and I've got to give him a lot of credit. John Kaluger right now, the libero for Southern Exposure, is extending a lot of rallies. And something that we were seeing Utah Stingers do very well, in my opinion, yesterday, sometimes they were struggling to find how they were going to win a match. But instead of losing quickly, even the games that they were losing, they were slowing it down, extending rallies so that they could have a conversation about how do we find our way back into the match. And I'm seeing some similar tendencies right now with John Kaluger, the libero on Southern Exposure. When he's able to extend rallies, he's letting his guys get swings in. Now you can have a conversation, start to identify ways that you're going to win the match. And I've got to give a lot of credit. A lot of people love to overlook liberos, and right now I think he's kind of one of those unspoken heroes on this team that has been a rock.
Yeah, he has gotten better as this match has gone on. His passing might have been a little shaky early on in the first set, but his passing has definitely been level upped a little bit in that second set. His defense has been good. I mean, we saw a dig off of his forehead for a point. That was a nice momentum change. And but he really does need to take control of the back row in pass and serve receive.
Sure.
And, you know, establish himself as the back row captain, if you will.
Yep.
And make sure that everyone knows whose seams are being taken, who's got what responsibilities, and then on defense, you know, communicating on where the hitters are and coming up with some the digs that he's supposed to make, and then coming up with a couple that maybe he's expected to make.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, that's one of those things that you'll see the best middle blockers in the world. What they're really doing at the net is they're telling everyone who's your priority hitter. Are you going one-on-ones? Are you blocking angle, double? Like, are you double blocking? Where are you looking? And that's what your middle blocker, front row, is commanding that. The libero is doing that back row. And I hear a lot of players saying that as a libero, since they're not providing offense, they don't know how to be involved. But the best liberos are back there telling everyone, the server's about to do this, watch the tip, dump his front row, so you need to be ready for that setter. And they are making sure that every single situation is accounted for. And, you know, that's another opportunity that we can see John Kaluger start to kind of take over here.
Totally right, Nick. Totally right. Yeah, the back row libero, I mean, they are on the court almost as much as the setter, you know, but they do need to be one of the more vocal guys on the court, especially in serve receive, talking about the seams. My seam to the right, who's the server, where is he coming from? Is he jump serving? Is it a spin? Is it a jump float? You know, my seam to the left, he communicates with both passers on both sides. You know, that's super key for them, and get that pass up to the net and have that clear communication moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And so right now, looks like Freedom is sticking with the same lineup, if I'm not mistaken here. That's number 14 is Njf Vautrin's remaining in the match here. Yep, so we've got the same roster there, or the same lineup coming in for Team Freedom, checking out Southern Exposure as they start to enter the court. Looks like we got the same group. You know, I'm a little surprised that I'm not seeing Tyler Hubbard coming off the bench right now, because he's had a lot of success, and maybe someone like that gets everyone a little bit fired up. The problem is we're seeing a lot of great defense out of number 14 over here with Jacob Ciesla, and he's not producing as much offensively. And then we're kind of seeing the same issue that we're not really seeing a lot of offense from Caleb Denmark right now either. So, you know, who do you take out, or do you make an adjustment there? But
yeah, the offense production out of Ciesla has been a little questionable. You know, he came in off the bench in that second set to produce something for him. I don't know if he's done it yet for the coach or his team. I've seen a couple of open hand tips and just kind of maybe some not perfect sets, or maybe it's just his arm's not ready to go yet. But when you're a role player and you're coming in off the bench to make an impact, you need to come out swinging and be aggressive and score those points, not just keep the safe play and hope that you're going to get a point.
Absolutely, and that's kind of sometimes one of the unfortunate realities of that position is, you know, your job is kind of unfair in that sense.
It's tough. Yeah, it's tough.
You do have to be ready to go.
Yeah, it's very tough, and you could be standing there for, you know, 3.5, 4 games out of a 5-game match. It's been 2 hours since you jumped and hit a ball. But you know what? No one wants to hear the excuses. Go out, get a chance to do something and produce.
And, you know, once again, while we were kind of chatting about that, we're seeing Southern Exposure start the game 3 with a misserve. There's a big swing here, and that's a nice ball put away by Sam Albus. Sam Albus has been kind of a steady producer here. We're seeing some great D-balls. He's had a lot of nice digs back row. So, you know, a lot of good production out of him. Definitely someone to keep an eye on. Yeah,
you mentioned that Southern Exposure missed their first serve, and Team Freedom instantly puts them on their heels on their first serve with a good first one, misses their second one, but they at least, you know, scored 2 points to start the game.
Yep. And we got a little sideline insight here. Olivia, what do you got?
Thanks, Nick. Over in the Southern Exposure huddle between those sets, Coach Corey Marks was saying, you know, we're blocking well. It's pretty even on both sides of the court. We're hitting well. They're actually out hitting Freedom, 20 kills to Freedom 16. But like we've been saying all match, and like we saw when they opened that with a missed serve, we have got to start serving. We've got to find that rhythm, and we have to find a way to give ourselves those touches.
Thanks, Olivia. And, you know, I was joking about it yesterday. I swear, every time Olivia brings something to the table here, it just comes true right away. And, you know, we talk about, she was mentioning the blocking, and there we see a net violation, unfortunately, by Southern Exposure. She's got to stay disciplined, but that's a huge block by number 14 that's Njf Vautrin going one-on-one with Denmark, and he's not letting that ball anywhere near their side of the court.
Yeah, that was a nice solo block, good move. Late dive into the angle, and I think he knew Denmark's kind of tendencies to go cross court and took advantage of it.
Yep. And we see Landon Shorts back there trying to be aggressive. He's been very, very successful from the service line, but doesn't quite find that one. This is going to be Denmark looking for a little rhythm starter here for himself on the back line. It's a good serve, handled well though. Freedom back in system.
Just running the middles. First option quick. We used to like to call it. Establish the middles early and often. Seifert is probably hitting at a pretty high percentage at the moment through this match. He's making a good impact on the front line, blocking and offense.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, you mentioned it last game that Freedom's just been so in system, and those guys just pass well. And right now, there's just not enough pressure. Southern Exposure looks for their chance, and a one-handed save there before the ball goes over the net by Cornell. But Team Freedom's going to be in a honestly not a great spot. I do want to acknowledge that free ball is a very smart free ball because it went over the head of the setter, and so it forced the opposite to try and pass that free ball over the head of the setter, giving him some pretty limited options there, and it resulted in a really outside set that was tough for the outside hitter to handle there.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a nice block move by Norman as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Another great, that was a great block move by Norman. He really sealed that well, and if that outside went anywhere but where he did, he was getting blocked. Unfortunately, that means he hit it out. But
I like the choice by Team Freedom to go back out to the outside hitter. That time, I think he just tried to avoid the block and missed it wide.
Yeah.
But once again, Southern Exposure lets him off the hook. Misses their serve, their jump serve long. And
that's gonna put the opposite Sam Albus on the back line, bringing Ronald Dunn to the front row. Once again, we are in potential dump territory, so we'll see if Ronald Dunn looks for a kill himself. Handled well by Denmark. Set goes backside, that low inside set, but we're seeing Joe Norman moving his feet a little bit better there and able to challenge that inside hand.
Yeah, good adjustment by Joe. That set was a little bit low and inside. I mean, he's, again, 6'8", 6'9". He's a big kid, and I haven't seen him hit very much line yet. I just don't think the set's developing all the way outside of his hitting shoulder. Might be a conversation to have with the setter and the coach as this tournament goes on and give him an opportunity to hit line every once in a while.
Yeah, definitely. Norman with a huge serve, handled well by Landon Short on the side of Freedom. And we just see that, once again, was that Sam Albus on the right side there?
Yes, it was. I think a nice healthy cut, cross court, sneaking that ball inside the right hand of the middle blocker of Southern Exposure. Usually his responsibility to get that right hand into the cross court angle attack.
Yeah, as you make that move, you want to drag your hand across the top of the net, prevent that cut. And yep, there was not sure. Interesting. Oh, okay, I think they're calling basic. I think they're calling that he contacted number 13, Landon Short contacted Will Cornell, the setter there.
Saying he blocked the set.
Yeah, and I don't know if he actually touched the ball or if he made contact with the setter, but since you've got a front row setter there, that's going to be an over. And I honestly didn't see it well enough to have any further insight, but we're just going to go with that call.
Yep, referee saw it, so.
It's all that matters.
Yep.
What he says goes. Cecil able to get a decent serve, but Landon Short keeps them in system, goes backside. Sam Albus once again. That guy is absolutely producing.
That was out of the back row, nice back row attack down the line. And beat the blocker to the antenna, and that's what we need to see out of Southern Exposure. We just touched on. We see a lot of cross-court attacking. You haven't seen a lot of line attacking out of Southern Exposure, but Team Freedom's been able to take advantage of it.
It's very true. And, you know, I don't know if that's in the hitting rapport of Joe Norman, but it's also kind of led to the libero for Team Freedom really not having to do much. He's not been challenged a whole lot down that side of the court.
Yeah, I agree with you, Nick. He's not having, you don't see a lot. We're not saying his name very much when the down the line digs.
Yeah, that's a great swing into the hard angle there, but it was interesting since I had a chance to face number 47 yesterday. You know, our team tends, the Ramblers, we do a lot of line swinging. And, you know, number 47.
Don't give away any secrets.
Of course, of course. John Cunningham, though, he's able to absolutely get a lot of digs, so it's interesting to see him isolated a little bit.
Yeah.
He has been doing well in serve receive, though.
Yeah. Big serve out of there from Team Freedom, catching Cecil up high on kind of the bicep area, maybe a tweener, not sure if it was in or out, but good contact, good inline pressure from Team Freedom.
Yep. Ron done with another one, but handled well by Denmark, and the set goes outside. There we go. Denmark's able to challenge that a little bit and use the Sam Albus the way he wants to get that chisel.
Southern Exposure is going to need Denmark to produce some more points like that here as this third game goes along if they want to force this match into extra frames. But that's his first kill on the left in quite a while. Hopefully he can get some more for him.
Landon short handles well, and it's another big swing out of the middle for freedom. We're seeing a lot of good production out of number 15, Matthew Seifert.
I would really like to see the setter for Southern Exposure do a different serve. Maybe put a little more pace on the ball, push it deep, go sideline to sideline, down the line, to something different, change it up.
Yeah. Huge block. Once again, the outside hitters might be a bit small on Team Freedom, but they are certainly showcasing that they're ready to seal off that net.
That is his second solo block on the right side attack of Southern Exposure, taking away their angle.
Yeah. And like you said earlier, it's kind of that show and take. They line up on them and then dive into that seam, take away the hitting arm angle. And
when you're 12 points into the third set and your opponent has not hit line enough for you to dedicate your block to protecting the line, and you can fully commit and dive into the angle on every single attack because you know where you're going to get him, this is what's going to happen. You're going to get one-on-one setups, one-on-one blocks, and terminal blocks back down to the floor as your hitters are continually trying to hit cross court.
Absolutely, and you know, Njf V, the one that's really showcasing that blocking skill, was a sub in the middle of game 2 coming in for Chris Vaughn. So we'd love to see that adjustment when you got someone out there that's being able to be a playmaker, like we said, off the bench.
Yeah.
He's not waiting for his chance.
He's producing.
Yep.
Yep, that's a great role, and he's doing a great job with it.
Now, one of those things is Southern Exposure. You've now got a 4-point deficit. So that means that not only do you have, you've got to keep siding out, but you've got to cover that. And that generally takes 2 to 3 times as many points as you're down. So that means they need to start this move right now.
Yeah, or else it's going to be a real quick third set, and they're going to be watching some video pretty soon.
Yep, but hey, you know what? We give respect where respect is due, and that's a coach's point. Calls the timeout, and he's able to get a missed serve coming out of it. Olivia, give us a little more insight. What were you hearing during the timeout?
Thanks, Nick. That was definitely a coach's timeout. He said we've got 30 seconds. Let's get them out of their system. But I caught up with Kevin Voss earlier this week. We see him putting the ball down there. He said how important it is to put 2, 3, 4 points together, but he knew it was going to be a challenge this weekend, them having not much experience playing together. So they're really trying to focus on just communicating and finding that rhythm together as a team. Nick.
Thanks so much, Olivia. And yeah, timing great as always. Kevin Voss finding a way to score that point. The missed serve there, I don't love it, but they were able to bring that gap down to 3. So that's one step towards just closing that up. And
yeah, they're going to have to need to do that if they want to get this game, or else they're going to run out of time.
That was a really well-run set. I think honestly one of the things that's been hurting him is sometimes you do fall into that that pit of thinking, like I said, that pushes or a 3-31 gap, whatever you want to call it, it can be easier to connect. And I think that the spacing has been a little bit off. And right there, they just run an over-the-shoulder one, it looked like, to Kevin Voss and kept it right in front of him, right in his wheelhouse, and he was able to crush that ball, get a good swing, and unfortunately unable to do the same on the service line.
Yeah, it's that time of the match where you need to take advantage of all your weapons, and setting quick is going to have to be one of those weapons if you want to score those points to make up that deficit.
I would not be surprised if we see any good pass right now that Will Cornell's starting to try and really force and establish the middle. Trying to find something different. They haven't been successful, but if they're going to get a good pass, that's not the pass. But, Joe Norman coming up big time. That's a triple block, and he's able to challenge high and find a good swing off of it.
Look, that's a great matchup for Southern Exposure, even though now Joe's going into the back row to serve. Clear height advantage. These matchups now, we'll see how it goes, but ride your horses here. Score your points with who you can get.
Yeah, no time to be too proud. If it works, just ride it. Good pass by Landon short, low middle, poked up by Cornell, but not really handled well, and that's going to put Joe Norman into the bench over here. He's a little slow to get up, but hopefully he's all right. At the same time, after making a big move like that, sometimes you'll see some players try to slow the pace of the match, and spread
Joe's
it out.
Big guy, it takes him a long time to stand all the way up from the floor. It was a good effort, though.
Big serve by number 14, and Southern Exposure's tracking it down. Free ball coming back.
Oh my gosh, they did it for the second time in the same match. They set the setter. I don't know why they think that's a good idea to go short to area 2. Even if it's not the setter, there's still going to be somebody there. The blocker, the front row hitter.
I think it's just not a plan. I don't think they're thinking about what are you trying to achieve, because Ronald Dunn is waiting for that. It's a good pass. Goes to the backside. That's the first line swing we've seen, and that was a chicken wing dig that it hit the ceiling, but honestly, Team Freedom could have made a move for that ball. I don't know if they would have been able to get a great touch off the ceiling there, but for how good of a dig that was.
That was a great dig. That was a great chicken wing down the line. Libero's letting Joe Norman know about it. He's going to take him to wing stop later, and unfortunately, Team Freedom couldn't get it back over the net.
But what does it matter when you get let off the hook once again?
Yeah. Yeah. Southern Exposure just shooting themselves in the foot there.
It's interesting to see John Cunningham shortly after we were talking about a lack of line swings, and saying isolate that guy because he can dig a ball, and there he is showing, though, he's definitely got it.
Yep. He was ready.
Once again, though, we're just seeing the defense come out of Freedom, and you have to beat that team. Right now, we are seeing a there's two teams that you play against when you're winning. There's teams that they beat themselves and you kind of just let them keep doing it. And there's teams that you have to go out and earn your points.
Yeah.
And if you're going to beat Freedom, you're going to have to earn every point.
Yeah, you are. And you're going to have to play pretty perfect volleyball to do so, because they're riding all the confidence they've gotten so far from 2.5 sets of volleyball. Southern Exposure's trying to find it, and hopefully they haven't waited too long to do that.
Yeah.
But it's an uphill battle for sure.
And I mean, right now, a lot of these matches we've had, this is what I'm saying right now. A lot of these sets, you've had clear, definitive hit leaders that are their go-to. You look at this Freedom offense, we've seen 3 dumps from Ronald Dunn. We've seen probably about 8 kills committed by Seifert. We've seen several terminal blocks coming out of the outside. We're seeing Sam Albus absolutely perform for the right side, but this is a team full of guys that are all just carrying their weight and then some. So
yeah, it's a full team effort for sure.
Anytime someone's struggling a little bit, everyone's right there to pick it up. And
yeah, I agree. They do have the outlets that they can take advantage of, and they've put good pressure from the inline on Southern Exposure too to keep them on their heels.
It's hard to harp on a missed serve there because you don't notice it, because they're going back, they're siding out right away, and then the next guy that goes to the back line, he's ready to hit his jump serve, but he's finding it in. They're not compounding errors.
Right.
Good pass by Short, goes to the outside, a little bit off. Sam Alvis takes a nice high swing, and I do not like that attempt from, was that Landon Short there?
It was. He was trying to kind of catch Southern Exposure off guard and go over quick with a little lefty. He wants it back for sure, but at least he's being aggressive.
Cornell once again with that flat float. I really echo your sentiments earlier. I want to see something different. The great servers that we're seeing here have a variety of weapons, and whether that's going to a hybrid or just putting it deep, try to find a seam, and he's kind of just putting a slow, short float. Oh, game ball touch from my foot down here.
There you go.
But that's going to be Team Freedom extending their lead, I think, here by, it might be 3, might be, yeah, there's the 4th, so it's a 4-point lead.
Let's see if that's a backbreaker, okay? We've got a timeout being called by Southern Exposure. Team Freedom just hit 20. We've got a 4-point lead, and they're serving. See if Southern Exposure implodes, or if they step up to the plate, side this ball out, come back, score a true real point or two, and see if they can take some of that momentum back on their side and win this 3rd set.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we were talking earlier about the way that you kind of have to overcome a lot of volleyball at a high level. It's really expected that you're siding out at like a 75 to 80% rate. And so what that means is when you start going down, every lead that you give up, it's going to take you 2 or 3 points to make up that one that you lost if you're going down. So down 4 points, best case right now, Southern Exposure has to outscore Team Freedom 2-1 starting right now.
Right.
There is no time to wait, and we've not seen them be able to string together long runs except for when Joe Norman went on a 3-serve run. So
yeah, absolutely right, Nick. It's definitely an uphill battle. and they will have to rely heavily on their serve game, which has let them down throughout this match so far.
Landon Short comes out with a huge serve out of the timeout, and that's going to be a middle attack, and Vaz throws it deep, and a little miscommunication on what the defense was going to be doing there, but, you know.
Little question mark there. It was just sort of a left-handed open hand tip throw down to get the ball over the net, and caught Team Freedom on their heels. And see if Denmark can score a true point here.
It's a good serve. Overpass. Kevin Vaz says, sir, we'll take that free point.
So there's one.
Yep.
And we'll take a timeout over to Team Freedom.
It's a very, very smart timeout there.
Absolutely, yes. I expected them to do that. I would have been surprised if they waited one more point.
Yep.
I think that's a smart call by the coach. It's his first timeout of the match, of the set, excuse me. And we want to ice Denmark here and see if we can make sure we obviously keep that pass on our side of the net. Obviously, the libero is going to say, my bad, I want that one back. But that was a good serve from Denmark and Southern Exposure. So,
you know, and I'm guessing right now that we're going to hear from Olivia in a little bit, but I'm sure right now in the Team Freedom, we're hearing hey, no worries, we're icing them. We're calming it down. We don't need to change anything. We're putting ourselves in system. We're just slowing Denmark down. Let's get back after it.
Yep, let him think about it, try to ice him a little bit. See if the coach can help add a point to his team, you know.
And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised, depending on how this point goes, if we see maybe he's got a second timeout, that if you really need to slow the game down, we might see another one come out pretty quick. So,
good serve.
It's going to go backside. Alvis looking to produce. Dug by Denmark, and Will Cornell able to pull it out, and that's going to be a free ball over from Denmark. That's going to be a swing by Landon. Southern Exposure looking for an over attack. Refs say he's clear there, but that's going to be a point for Southern Exposure. That's a net that's not called, and set goes to the Bick, and Denmark able to squeak that one through. I would not be surprised if we see a second timeout get called right now.
Either a timeout or a substitution, maybe, just to stop the momentum, let Denmark think about it. I would make a sub personally for just anybody, their other outside hitter, get a swap in, let them think about it.
Pull in short back row or something, just to change up a look.
Yeah, let Denmark think about it a little bit more, but not necessary. So
I guess you just look at the history. It's destined to repeat itself, and you know, miss serve was incoming. Yeah. So we're going to see a substitution, though. It's a serving sub. So Seifert's out, and we're going to see number 9 coming in. That's Chris Vaughn. He was starting outside when this match started. Chris Vaughn's got a lot of experience. He's one of those guys you talk about, a role player. He's actually one of the starting outsides typically for Team Freedom. He's able to come in and just find good consistent play. So not surprising there. But once again, really seeing some success with Kevin Vaz. I'm glad that we're seeing Southern Exposure go there, but it's funny, it's just that simple one ball. Just throw a one up.
Well, look, sorry, Nick, don't mean to cut you off, but that was a little bit of a roll shot serve.
Yeah.
Perfect pass, and you absolutely should set Kevin Voss in that situation and get the quick point.
But with a little more insight here, Olivia, what do you got for us?
In that last Southern Exposure timeout, Kevin Voss really taking it on his advice. He was riling up the guys, saying we need to take aggressive swings. We saw him just put down 2 kills. And in that last Freedom timeout, look for them to key in on Joe Norman. They're looking for him on the other side. They said we need to know where he is at all times, especially out of system. Nick?
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, Joe Norman might be a way back into this match right now, and we're seeing that set there, and, you know, he finds it. The play before, we saw Jeff Vautrin able to get a kill off of Joe Norman on a nice high angle swing using high hands, and you know, the way it's been going, I was wondering if Jeff Vautrin was about to get his 3rd solo block there, but that barely funneled down his chest and not quite able to get over the net.
Yeah, good scramble play by Southern Exposure, and Joe made a nice high swing. They needed it here. 22 all in the 3rd set. Joe back to serve now.
Good serve, hits the front row outside. The ball goes back. Albus flies out of the back row, but unable to control that. And, you know, got to give credit where credit's due. Hopefully we can see Southern Exposure keep this fire up and find a way to win this game. But the fact that they were able to even close the gap, they're finding a 1-point lead now after being down 4 coming into the final 9-10
we've been talking
points.
about it. They've done what we said they needed to do. You know, I'd like to see Team Freedom maybe call a timeout here and try to ice Joe, but they're not doing it. You know, front row setter here, that was a good pass. They need to see if we can reproduce another point.
Yeah, and once again, I think that, oh, wow. Free ball coming back. We're going to see a middle set coming in. Oh, my, that is a beautiful one-handed dump. I'm not sure what Team Freedom was seeing there, but that's going to take us to game point in the second time now being used by Team Freedom.
Look, well played by Southern Exposure. Okay, you got a nice serve from Joe, his second serve. He feels it. He likes when he starts getting them. We've seen it earlier in that set. Obviously, Cornell, the setter, we've seen that back dump a couple of times. Late in the game now, he wants to be involved. That was a pass that was set up. The pass was tight to the net.
Yeah.
He's had some connection issues with number 16 in the middle, so why not just take control of it? Back dump was worked before. It's a tricky little shot and take advantage of it.
Yeah, and in college, if I'm not, well, I know I'm not mistaken where he played at West Virginia University. I think that they were just a college club team. I actually played against him in our senior year. I was on UC Irvine's club team, and he was full of a roster of the 6'5", 6'6" guys that were just huge for a college club team. And he's always been a really big presence on the net as long as I can remember, and that was 6 years ago. We're still seeing that, so he's always ready for his chance to go after that dump. So good to see that even late in the game when it's a tight match, he's ready to do it.
One thing about a good solid setter is that they know when to be offensively aggressive and they know when to set their hitters.
Yeah.
In a situation like that, to get them to game point, he needs to be aggressive and score the point himself.
Yep.
Let's see how Joe does from the inline here.
There it is. Big players make big plays, and Joe Norman, you know, we've been kind of up and down on him throughout the match, trying to find the right way for him to be involved, but the one thing you can control is how you serve in a match. There are no extra factors other than how you yourself set yourself up. And Joe Norman really found a way in the second part of that match to give himself good tosses and get involved. So props to him.
Yeah, that was definitely one of his most aggressive serves we've seen out of him for this match to this point. And it came at a good time. That was his third serve in a row, so he was feeling it. And it was his, I believe, second or third run of serves in that third set. So now if they can get a little more production out of him in the front row, I think Team Freedom sort of maybe saw that lead on the scoreboard and maybe kind of slowed it down a little bit.
Yep.
And like you and I were talking about, Southern Exposure had to step up their side. If they wanted to win that set, they did that. Now they have the momentum. And this fourth set's going to be very interesting and should be exciting to see how these two teams come out, because now we've got a total flip-flop of emotions and momentum going forward. So it's going to be an exciting fourth set here. I'm looking forward to it. Maybe our first match of the day might go 5. We'll see.
Yeah, that's how the day started yesterday. Match number 1, Matadors and Stingers were going extra innings in their games, and they went all the way to 5.
Hey, why not? I mean, it's free volleyball. Let's see as much as we can. We're all here to watch good volleyball and talk about it. Let's see what we can get and get some extra frames and have fun doing it.
And that's the thing that I love is it's hard as someone that just loves the sport. I want to see the NVA grow and high-level play. You see so many great players and great moments that occur for the team that you just want to see them start to put it together so they get to represent themselves appropriately. And that game, I think we started to see some things clicking. So I hope for that team, for the players, for their mentality, that we're really going to get a chance to see them continuing to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these guys have personalities. They're not robots. They're doing what they love. They're competing. They're being showcased and highlighted, and they're trying to make a name for themselves, and the NVA is trying to do what they're doing and take advantage of what this sport has domestically for our volleyball players in the United States.
Yeah, and the Stunners match was just a tough one. Stunners yesterday came out playing some high-level volleyball. I mean, that was one of the greatest performances from that team, and those guys were firing on all cylinders. So it's really hard to know what we can expect from Southern Exposure, but you can look at the players, their pedigree, and know what they've done in college, overseas, and know that those players are more than how they played yesterday. So you don't want them to not get that chance, and I think that I really want to see those guys kind of get their licks in here. And so glad to see that we're going to 4 and maybe see if they can extend this into a 5th.
Yeah, look, you know, Nick, it takes time sometimes to get your engine started, get that oil kind of flowing through the motor. This is an early match. It was the 8 a.m. match. It's day 2. Guys played, 1 or 2 matches yesterday. They got to wake up. They got to get their bodies moving. We saw a slow start from Southern Exposure. Team Freedom came out of the gates pretty good, quick and aggressive. But again, it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's 3 out of 5 for a reason. It's not 1 game to 25.
Yep.
Or 2 games to 25. You got to win the match. And I think we're starting to hopefully see Southern Exposure find that warmed up engine and start to be a little bit more aggressive with everything.
Yeah, and something that I was talking about a little bit on air yesterday that I really love what the NVA is promoting here is, you know, in the past when leagues are in the U.S. is that it's hard to keep a consistent roster. So a lot of the times you try to go find the best talent that's around and then put an all-star roster together to represent your team. But now all these guys, for the most part, you know, 60–70% of these rosters exist in perpetuity throughout the year and they're training together. But there is something to still consider that some of these guys are still shaking hands and meeting for the first time when they get in.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. There's something to be said about consistency.
There's the set for Joe Norman. Once again, though, a huge dig from Cunningham on Team Freedom. High set. Denmark challenges the block. There's the high-level swing. Some great defense on the side of Team Freedom still. They're not quite able to find it, but they extend that rally. And
yeah, look, you're seeing adjustments being made. Okay, that was a nice serve from Team Freedom. Joe Norman goes down the line. Obviously, they've said we need to attack the line. Another nice dig by the libero, but it just didn't work out for Team Freedom there.
Big swing, and that's a huge kill for Jake Modesto. We were joking yesterday that it always says something. When you're able to tool someone out the back of the court, it tells you a little bit about how hard that ball got hit.
And how high you're attacking it. You know, trajectory physics-wise, go all the way back. That's coming at a high point.
That's another great. They decided that apparently the read right now is attack line and make Cunningham make a play.
Yeah, attack line on the right side attack and force Team Freedom to dig that line ball, but then also be able to transition it.
And there's something to be said that not necessarily that even Cunningham, when he's getting great digs, it changes the way that the setter has to play defense. Or not defense, sorry, but when he's running his offense. That ball I could not see, but Team Freedom does not agree with that call.
Well, it's about 15-1 on that side of the court, and the 1 is going to win when the linesman calls it in.
Couldn't be more right.
He was sure that it was in.
And that's a big ace for Denmark coming into game 4 here. Another good serve out of him. It's going to be Albus swinging high hands over the head of John Kaluger on the side of Freedom, or on the side of Southern Exposure there.
Yeah, good strong start by Southern Exposure with a side out, a nice service run. Team Freedom's going to have to respond here. A little adversity for them here early in the 4th set.
Ball getting inserted in a play here as Modesto's on the back line. On a good pass, I wouldn't be surprised that we see Kevin Vaz getting involved coming around the side. But right now, it's going to be a tough. There it is. That's a great adjustment. That set went a little behind him there, but Joe Norman was able to kind of slow his approach down and find that hard angle.
Yeah, fortunately for Southern Exposure, Joe's big and he can adjust. That set definitely needs to be closer to the net for him and what he's expecting it to be, but he was able to make the adjustment and score the point.
You know, that's a tough. Kevin Vaz wants, you know, I think that's his 6th or 7th missed serve this match.
Definitely, yeah. Clearly too many missed serves out of him.
Go to a float serve, tap the ball, and do whatever. But if you're losing 2 or 3 points a game when he goes onto the back line, that's...
Look, give your block and defense a chance to score a point.
Yeah.
Stand at the end line and just free ball serve it over. If you just blast it in the net, you're not helping your team.
Yep. There's that gap. Once again, not quite connecting in the middle.
Yeah, the connection there is still definitely a little either too new or not too sure what the issue is there. Maybe it's a little bit of a difference between the 2 middle blockers. And where the set location needs to be in terms of verticality and the height of the ball.
Yep.
I think that's probably where the issue might be.
Albus sends that ball long, put a lot of power on it, not enough topspin to help that tail into the court. Joe Norman going to the back line and potentially an opportunity for Southern Exposure to open their lead up a little bit more here.
8-second rule.
Handled well by Landon Short. High set goes back row to Albus. And Tool off of the triple block. Right hand from Will Cornell there gets used. And
you know, I think that's a diggable ball off of the ricochet of the 3-man block. I think Joe's standing in the wrong spot. He's back in the corner behind the block. He's not inside the block looking for a deflection. But he's getting warmed up from the inline. He's getting warmed up at the net, offensively speaking. But you have to contribute in every aspect of this sport.
Yep.
And if you can come up with a dig when the ball gets hit to you and it transitions to a point, that's as good as a kill sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's not only about how high or how hard you hit the ball, but you got to be able to dig the ball, pass the ball, block, all the things, set when you got to set.
Yep.
You got to be a well-rounded player out here if you want to make an impact.
And I think one of those things that some of the players sometimes don't dial in is you don't see as many triple blocks when you're going to the backside. You know, a lot of the triple blocks you see are more to your right. And so maybe he just wasn't ready that when you see a triple block going up on that backside, you really got to dig in and make sure that that tip and...
Well, listen, it's also a mentality. You know, you want the ball to come to you. You're expecting the ball to come to you. And if you're not going to put yourself in a place where you think that you can get the ball, then you're not going to get it. So it's a mindset.
Yep. Quick little swing, and once again, we're just seeing an aggressive setter in Ronald Dunn. Any chance that he sees that he can take some control and really, you know, take that point for himself, he's willing to do it. That's a good step close. And
I think he's been seeing the Southern Exposure setter get involved too, and now he wants to be offensively involved.
They've been trading points all match.
Yep. Yep.
Oh. Clockwork.
The game within the game.
Yep.
Well, battles between players in the same position. Maybe a few words through the net, and strategies being said. Compliments, maybe not so many compliments.
There's a float serve. Ball is dug off the foot of Joe Norman, unable to control it, but you know, if you're Joe Norman, you're almost just hoping that you get a preemptive whistle blow there for a replay.
I mean, that ball got dug off of Joe's foot, so he's in the right spot. That's a step in the right direction.
Good pass here by Kruger. A forced gap into the middle. Low gets a triple block up on the side of Team Freedom, which I do want to admit, you know, triple block on the middle in transition, that's a feat in and of itself.
I think you said it perfectly, Nick. You said it was forced. You've got Joe Norman overhead on the back row. You've got Denmark on the left. Why are you forcing a set from the 10-foot line to the middle, you know, at this point of the match?
You know, if you've got, you know, the middles that you're seeing on the Stunners or Ramblers with Antoine Aguilar or Nick West or Nick Amato, there's a lot of confidence that you can set a ball up there, hike it up there, and they're going to go after that. But when you're trying to get a connection established at all, that's not the set to go.
No, and that's a connections that's developed over time in the practice gym, not at, you know, 7-9 in the fourth set of a 4-day tournament, you know. So
once again, we're seeing the Southern Exposure defense kind of just way out of sorts. When you see a set goes that far outside, physics tells you there is a very, very small margin of where that ball can come back over, and no one's even near that. So I want to see the right side defense right now between Cornell and Joe Norman kind of figure out where they need to be, because
they do seem a little bit confused or discombobulated on where they need to stand or prepare to play defense, depending on where, you know, the ball is being set from Team Freedom.
Good run. Huge block by Kevin Voss. Goes one-on-one against the Modesto for Team Freedom. Goes with a widespread blocking move instead of trying to full commit on one side to take as much court as he can. Right hand seals well and gets the block.
Great read by Voss. The set might have been a touch tight.
Yep.
But he did make a good reach with his right hand and block that ball.
Nice serve there. It's going to be a back set. Chopped.
Got a touch call from the linesman there. Not sure who touched it, but probably off the block someplace.
Once again, we said Sam Albus is a man to watch. He may not be the flashiest opposite, and he's pretty small compared to some of the other ones we see this weekend, but that man is producing.
Yeah, he is. He is carrying a good amount of load for his team, and he's producing some points when they need it.
High efficiency, too. Team Freedom's starting this game with a little bit of serving trouble. I think that's the third or fourth in the net.
Maybe some fatigue setting in.
Yep. Not a lot of subs going over there, so these guys are all going into their fourth set.
Look, as matches go on and energy levels drop a little bit, the first place you're going to see that effect the most is from the inline with jump serves.
And Kevin Voss finds one. That's going to be an overpass, and Will Cornell takes it, and Kevin Voss with a nice backhanded set, but a little too predictable there, and we see number 14, Jacob Ciesla, shut down by the double block on Team Freedom. There's a card being issued here to the side of Team Freedom. It's a yellow card, I think, for some excessive celebration or words that are being had by maybe Ciesla.
I'm thinking it might have been
Seifert.
from Seifert.
Seifert, I mean,
Looks
sorry.
like everyone's kind of looking at him. Hard to tell with these face masks on that the referees have, but
we're going based on body language and the indication.
number 15 just got the yellow card, yeah.
Yep.
I saw the hand signal.
He, I think he had something to say or look through the net after that double block. Albus on the back line gets a nice serve, and overpass gets forced. Free ball, and Seifert misses the swing. Gets the yellow card for his team, and then misses the swing wide. Something to note, if you get 2 yellow cards, that is a red card, and you miss the next match.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
Okay.
we've seen a couple yellow cards actually issued this tournament already.
All right.
So definitely something to keep an eye on.
Interesting. It's a nice factor. I like that.
I don't know if it removes you from the current one, but I know from the next. Great serve by Norman. Backside, Albus once again going, and they find a punch into the net. Free ball coming over. Big swing into Norman, and unable to find the dig there.
Yeah. Look, good heads-up play, scramble play by Southern Exposure. They've upped their intensity a little bit.
Yep.
You know, they're feeling some confidence. They've made some plays. You know, Team Freedom's a little bit on their heels, even though they're playing with the lead right now. Southern Exposure is definitely warming up and trying to steal this match.
And it's, you know, it's one of those things. Sometimes when you see players playing and you're not looking at the score, big set to Norman, that's the set. That is the set we have been preaching all day long. You get him a high ball outside, watch him swing. He's going to get that ball put away.
Yeah, that was against a 3-man block. Well, fairly well-formed shoulder-to-shoulder block, but he just went outside and probably over all 3 of those
I think it
guys.
looked like it was over the top.
You know, he needs a little bit of a higher set so he can go reach it at its highest point.
And usually a high set's a little bit easier to deliver too. So I don't think that should be something you have to compete with.
Yeah.
But that's a good set for Seifert there. Cornell playing some off-blocker defense. Once again, we're seeing some size. Joe Norman gets a bump set. Where? High and outside.
They must be hearing us, or someone's hearing us out there. I don't know, but momentum clearly on Southern Exposure's shoulders at the moment, taking over the lead in this 4th set.
Hey, if you're scouting Southern Exposure right now, you should absolutely be looking at that set selection, because where he gets set tells you what he's going to produce.
Yeah.
Great tight set there. But the point I was kind of bringing up there, it's interesting. Sometimes you watch a match without context of the score, and that you just watch body language, and it tells you who's got the momentum and what they're feeling. And it was weird without looking at the score to see that Freedom was up by 1, because like you said, they're on their heels, they're missing serves, their body language. You look at Southern Exposure, and they were coming up, they were feeling it, and they were down a point. Now all of a sudden that same energy, now they've got a 2-point lead, because we're seeing that same confidence. They're feeling their stride a little bit, and Freedom's a bit out of sorts.
Yeah, absolutely. Freedom is definitely a little bit confused. I don't think the yellow card helped. That was off of after a great block. They scored the point, and then all the wind gets pulled out of their sails by a yellow card, and then a hitting error out of bounds, and now 2 straight kills from Joe Norman. And clearly the momentum has been fully shifted over to Southern Exposure side.
Yeah. And you know, we've seen improvements from the Southern Exposure blocking throughout the match. It's gotten progressively better. The touches are improving. They're extending rallies. This is what I was talking about yesterday when we saw the Matadors, a very, very young, explosive, energetic team playing against the Stingers. Even when the Stingers were down, they were able to just extend the rally, and we're seeing that Southern Exposure is doing the same. So even when you lose a point, you don't really feel bad about it. It was a tough fought point, and then you're able to keep fighting forward, and that's what we're seeing a little bit of right now, and it's going the way of Southern Exposure.
Yeah. Absolutely. A quick conference here between the up ref and the captain for Southern Exposure. Not too sure what they're discussing, but May have something to do with a little too much communication from the role players over here to the other team, maybe.
I think, like you said, role players is a correct way to address that. Everyone's got their role, and some guys on the bench think that playing the mind games is theirs. So,
good job for the up ref to try to keep this match under control.
Yep. And there, like we said, there's a great block touch. Goes to Denmark. Denmark uses the tool. You know, games 1 and 2, we were not seeing that block touch. They were not getting over. It was funneling through the chest. They're getting tooled.
Yeah.
Will Cornell in the right spot there. We see that right side defensive adjustment. Able to extend a rally and a good set outside. And Denmark once again producing.
Yeah, once again, and now Team Freedom clearly on their heels on their block and defense game. They've lost all confidence in their block, and they need to earn a side out.
You know, good block touch once again. And it's now been closed to a 2-point lead, but that was the first 3-point lead I think we've seen. But I think we got a little sideline inclusion here from Olivia. Olivia, what do you got?
Thanks, Nick. In that last Freedom huddle, Coach again was really stressing we need to know at all times where Joe Norman is. He said when he's in the back row, we need to take line. When he's in the front row, we need to take the ball. Let's just take a deep breath and catch ourselves.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty sound advice. Good to hear that they're dialed in on where they need to be. That's a good dig there. That's a way better block, though. That's a huge block for Southern Exposure, and they're continuing to just touch every ball that Team Freedom tries to put over the net.
Yeah, right now Team Freedom's looking at each other like, what's going on here? They're a little bit of deer in headlights. They're having a hard time getting their attacks past the block of Southern Exposure. Joe Norman's going over their block on offense with his attacking. So Team Freedom needs to find themselves here, and that's one way to help.
I think depending on which team you're on, I think you owe the team different things there, but that ball did not even touch the net on the way over there.
Barely made it to the net, Nick. Barely made it to the net.
That was rolling under.
That one was on the not top 10 list.
As someone that has watched every match closely so far, I can say that was the least powerful serve of the tournament.
Well said. Another nice little finesse shot there from Kevin Voss over into the left back area of Team Freedom's defense.
Float serve goes down the line, received, and Freedom's going to go backside here. We see a swing, and that funneled through Kevin's side. He kicked it under the net.
Good move. Kevin got his hands in the right spot. He just didn't get him over the net in time. That one came down between him and the net. So
yeah, unfortunately, I've got a camera right here that kind of prevents. So
no one wants to hear your excuses, Nick.
You're not wrong.
We've got a touch called on that. No argument from Team Freedom, so the referee's got that one correct. We've seen a little bit more of attention focused offensively to the middle blocker for Southern Exposure. He's getting some attack attempts and scoring some points.
And you know, an important note here I think is Payne Langston, though he's not really producing offensively compared to Kevin Voss, we've seen some really great blocking moves. In that last one, he got 3 or 4 big touches that allowed Southern Exposure to score some points there. So
yeah, I agree with you.
Find your way as a middle blocker too. Is that M2, you really want to find your way to get involved as well. And if you're getting those touches, teams are going to be happy with your performance. Float serves come down. Well passed by Denmark, goes to the backside. That's a huge swing down the line by Joe Norman.
Look, I mean, it's nice to see that Southern Exposure has finally found the right place to set Joe Norman at 20 points into the 4th set.
Yep.
If you're going to find it, there's no better time than now. It's okay to be late, I guess, as long as you can score the points with it. Better late than never, I suppose.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. And you know, this is kind of one of those interesting team talks is Kevin goes back to serve, and there Kevin Voss puts the serve in, well handled, and Freedom's going to have to free ball the ball over. Cornell goes to the outside, and Cecil chips down the line, sets out. So we're going to see a tip over the top, well covered by Joe Norman. Cornell goes to the Bick, no one home, and Kevin Voss free balls that over. We're going to the backside once again. Sam Albus goes down the line, but we're getting a block touch.
Net call on Kevin Voss there on Southern Exposure. Southern Exposure had their chances there to score a point in transition. It's just a little chaotic. It didn't know who to set there in transition out of the back row, and had to free ball it over and gave Team Freedom another chance at that one.
Yep. It's funny though, what I was kind of saying was that it's interesting to see Freedom. That's all very much a team together, or they're succeeding or falling apart together. And we're seeing moments of glory from players from Exposure trying to keep the team chugging along, you know. And now we're seeing that big swing on the outside. Cecila takes a swing and now goes to Albus on the opposite. And Albus tools, once again, a lot of production from the right side on Team Freedom.
Look, if I'm Team Freedom right now, I'm making sure I put the serve in, okay? It's 20-19, you're down by a point, but focus your block on the right side attack from Joe Norman right now.
Yep.
Don't think they're gonna go out front or even quick. I would be willing to put some serious money that they're gonna set Joe Norman right now on this side out, as long as they can get a decent pass, and they don't have to.
And but what was step one of your plan? Make your serve.
Make your serve, yep.
So, and you know, again, it's kind of a timing and awareness of what's to come. You miss that serve, what happens? You lose a point, you put Joe Norman on the service line, and
yeah,
that's a double whammy.
It is, and you really do need to pay attention to sort of what the next 2 to 3 plays are going to look like, and it's forward thinking of who the next server is, what could happen, what to be ready for, and how to prepare.
Albus with a big swing, Freedom. Oh, there it is, the one-handed turn Kong block. Will Cornell flaunting his stuff, makes sure that he's defending on an overpass there. You love it. That is one of the hardest things in volleyball, when an overpass goes quickly over the net. No matter where you are on the net, trying to turn and get some good hands up, and Will Cornell spots that perfectly.
And Will Cornell's got a nice height. He's a good size setter. He's going to get his hand over the net, and he did that really well right there for the one-handed Kong block.
Yes, sir. It's going to put Joe Norman still on that back line. And
off of the ceiling there.
Yep.
Nice replay, reflexes.
Another back tip. Not sure that's the best one there, but Cornell is able to go back to the pick here and unable to connect.
Maybe went too many times to the well for Cornell on that back tip. That one didn't really have the conviction that he wanted.
Yeah.
He was trying to be a little too soft with it. It was a good serve by Joe. He was going on a nice run.
You can hear the Southern Exposure bench over here making train noises, because I think they're all aboard the Joe Norman train.
Absolutely, as they should be.
Big serve.
Carrying them.
Going to be tight. Little weight room check there from Seifert. He lets Cornell know, you might have gotten the last one, but that wasn't against me. I'm going to win this one every time, buddy.
Yeah, nice way to stay strong there by the middle blocker. Let Will know about it, put him on his backside there, and no flex down, didn't say anything, just go about your business.
Hey, when you got one yellow card in your pocket, not a lot more to be said. Once again, we were talking about Seifert not being able to really produce there. A lot of tips, a lot of chops and rolls, and he gets that tight set, tries to tip in, and that's a disciplined block over there that's just not going to have any of it.
That's purely advantage Team Freedom. I don't think Southern Exposure wants to be setting to the left side right now, and according to that pass, didn't really leave any other options for him. That was all he had to do, and point for Team Freedom. Timeout, Southern Exposure to talk about it. 22 all in the fourth. I mean, doesn't get much better than this right now. Southern Exposure, you got Joe Norman in the back row. Look for him to get a set on the D. You also have Denmark out of the middle back, so maybe a Bick. Cornell front row. Look for him to be active.
Yeah, and right now, if I'm Southern Exposure, my goal is I want to trade points. I want to side out until I can get Norman back in the front row. But you cannot give up runs right now. You need to trade point for point. Good timeout call. Give yourself a chance. One pass.
Yeah. A run right now will end the match.
Yes.
In a win for Team Freedom. So you do absolutely have to side out. Team Freedom has to put this serve in, but firmly, you know, good strong serve. Don't give him any freebies, and play some good disciplined block and defense. You should theoretically be at the advantage with the lineups and the matchups that you have.
Yep, Vautrin with a good serve, and that's just going to be a no-brainer. And there it is. A good set to Norman, but we're seeing the stop that Team Freedom's been wanting all match. They get the good triple for the fourth time, and this time it works for them. Yeah,
Seifert delivers it pretty much the best possible time with that block. It was a good three-man block. They knew where he's going to go. They've been seeing it all match. And again, started with a tough serve and a good block for the point.
Good serve, handled well, goes to the pick. They try Denmark and he chisels off. That's a huge dig by Cunningham. Turned and thrown down by the setter, Ronald Dunn from Team Freedom. I was talking earlier about the defense that you're going to see out of that libero over there, Cunningham.
Huge play by Cunningham over there to run that ball down off of that nice block touch.
And then puts it up with a 50-50. And Ron Dunn with the vision to know to turn that into the off blocker there, that was
huge.
Team Freedom all around.
That was huge. That could be a dagger to Southern Exposure's momentum right there. But
yeah, that's the run we're talking about. You got to, I'm honestly not sure. I don't know the timeout count offhand. I don't know if that's the second, or this is the second.
I believe this is the final timeout of the set for both teams.
I might have called this even a point earlier, though, at 23, just because of the fear of ending up at 24-22.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right thing. I'm not that experienced coach, but when you're at 22-22 sitting on a timeout after you've already given up 2 points.
Right.
Now I think this is a 4-point run that Team Freedom's on.
It was 22-22
yeah, but then,
prior to that. Yeah.
But Exposure had called the timeout, right? So I think Freedom had already scored 2 to catch up.
Yeah, I think you're correct.
So now we're seeing, and again, you talk about role players. Jeff Vautrin's already gotten a couple solo blocks. He's coming back here. He's been putting some smart swings for an outside. He's challenging people, and now he's crushing balls from the back line.
Here's our first match point, so let's see what we can get.
Big serve, tight pass. This is going to be a joust. There it is, found by Freedom. And Albus, now that we're sitting at the end of that, that's going to be match Team Freedom. I can't say how impressed I am by Albus. That guy really, every game of the match, they needed someone to be consistent.
Yep. Short little lull maybe there early on in the fourth set, maybe a little into the third, but man, playing from behind for most of that set, Team Freedom, and combating off the momentum that Southern Exposure had late in that fourth set, looking like we were going to go 5, and they just came right back and stole that back and get the match win.
And that's a tough loss to swallow if you're Southern Exposure, because you're really trying to find your identity there, and then all of a sudden, you get it kind of taken out from underneath you. And
I'm going to give huge props to the libero for Team Freedom for running down that point to give them, I think it was to give them 23, maybe 24, I can't recall.
That put them at 24.
So that was to give them match point. Huge play by the libero. Talk about role players, guys that don't produce points. Liberos don't actually score points.
Yeah.
But that is a play that is not, you can't attribute a point directly to the player.
Sure.
But you gave your team a chance at match point.
Yeah. And the thing that you really need to pay attention to is there's 2 things to consider there in terms of kind of earning that point. It's not just that he kept the ball alive, but it's when they're trying to put together a run, he's keeping the momentum alive. You see your teammate lay out for a ball like that, you better not be the one that quits on that ball.
Yeah,
and so he's keeping the entire team on his shoulders right there. And
absolutely. It's the effort that's contagious.
Yeah.
And you saw that. You saw the team celebrate that point, because when you got your libero making a play like that and selling out, diving for a ball that maybe he can get to, maybe he can't, but he got to it because he went. And then they get to match point and they win that match.
Yeah, and we are in a great seat to see a lot of this going on live, and we really got the best action shot of him laying out full extension with that one arm. And we're in a good spot to see that, and he really earned that point. But we've got Olivia live here with the player of the match. Olivia, what do you got?
Thanks, Nick. Ron, that close set at the end, it was 22-22, but you guys put it away. How did you do that?
We have a great group of guys in that last huddle, getting the guys that are on the court, maintaining our energy, but making sure that we're back there breathing. We're getting ready for each point. We made sure that we watched film so far of all this whole weekend, so we kind of had an idea what they were going to do, and we just executed. It's a quick game of either you execute or you don't, and at the end there we were fortunately able to.
I asked if you were sweating at all on the walkover. You said these are your favorite kind of matches. Why is this your favorite situation?
The energy is amazing, especially given how we were able to get this whole thing going, given the whole situation everywhere. It's just great to be playing some really high-level ball at a fun facility, a great league. Those energy moments are the best. You kind of stop thinking, you just get in that flow state. It's really, really enjoyable.
A very balanced offense on your side, and you were finding your guys, and especially Sam Albers. How were you able to do that?
Honestly, I get a lot of help. The other setter on our team, Matt Elias, other guys on the bench, I make sure that they're helping us, making sure that they're seeing things, making sure I'm talking to them between every timeout, things like that. It's something that a lot of times on the court isn't the easiest to see, but when you know you have guys you can trust talking to you from the sideline, it's a little bit of load off my shoulder. It really helps me make sure that I'm getting everybody involved, putting them in the best spot to be successful.
And now, long weekend. What's the biggest takeaway from this one that's going to help you guys moving forward?
I mean, we've been playing together for a while. We got a group of guys that really know each other. We're a very close bond. Nothing that we're seeing here is really that new. We're just going to try and keep this rolling tonight and then through Saturday, Sunday.
Thanks so much. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Nick.
Thanks so much. That's a lot of great insight. And, you know, Ronald Dunn really had a great match. So great to hear from him. That's going to do it for us here. We've got LA Blaze and the Tennessee Tyrants from the American League that are getting ready. So we're going to see that match. So we'll be back here soon. And volleyball fans, stick around. Thanks.